Alright, this is A Minute with Mud, episode 13. Mud Shattered Operating System Phase 5. Last one. Hopefully no clarifier needed, because this is really racking my brain, scrambling everything. Safe word peaches. Doing this same place as yesterday. On my way here, there are people doing St. Patrick's Day partying already. It's like 6 p.m. I slept most of the day. I didn't want to deal with anything. It's a thin line for me to not have a breakdown or lose my shit all the time. I've been doing really well. Having a therapist to talk to every week is good. It's been a little over a week because she went on vacation, so I'm fine enough. So at the end of the last video, and the clarifier, the phase 4 is when I left my ex junkie and decided to go homeless again and complete the 10-year cycle at the New Life Center, and was completely frantic mode, pretty much panic, doing the best I could. And after the peer support specialist training, I decided to do a lot of outreach in a practice sort of sense. So I spoke to a lot of the homeless guys. I was really starting to feel real good, cleaning out my body, cleaning healthier diet, not taking things as personally. And then I noticed a lot of this hostile vibes around me from a lot of those guys because I was doing so much better than they were, even though I was working my ass off to try and get back on my feet. So I didn't really have a healthy sense of identity still. But then I got really good, and I decided on Valentines. Well, I met a friend. I met a soul brother. Sort of opposites attract kind of situation where he was younger, around 25, I think he was, 24, 25, and in a bar when I was drinking, I'd only drink like one beer and be fine. I'd go to concerts there, and I met him, and he said he was a peer support specialist as well, and I thought, it was just another gay guy hitting on me, but it's a true story. He really did do the peer support specialist training. I don't know how great he's been doing at it. Anyway, so around the first week of February, I started feeling all this love in the air. 2019. That's before the angels gave me the hindsight and perfect vision idea that 2020 would be. So I decided to ask somebody to come as a friend to a high school play that someone at the Lighthouse groups had mentioned to me that was going to be a good one. And I didn't know who to ask, or didn't really feel like even asking anybody. I was doing really well on my own, but I had this hole inside of me that's like, you can't just do this on your own. You have to keep going back into the shitty situations, trauma bonding stories. And I was like, well, after that ex, I'm not going to be with anybody, so I wanted just friendship. And I asked someone to go with me, and she said no. But then I mentioned my story, and I was like, I just wanted somebody as a friend. And she's like, well, you never told me that, because she had been witnessing me at the shelter. And so we didn't end up doing that. But then I went to a concert from a local band called The Human Element around here, and they're okay. It was great meeting them. They're really awesome guys. And so then we went there, danced, had a good time. Just really tried not to do sex right away. It was difficult because she seemed pretty adamant about it. But I held off for a long time, got to know each other a little bit, had really spiritual, deep connections. Like, you kind of know the person from a past life sort of situation. A lot of people tell me that. My buddy in the wheelchair that we watch movies with together, sometimes he's like, I know I met you in a past life, and people say that shit, and I don't know how to take that. So anyway, but then she got proposed to, so we just kind of just stayed friends, and she'd help me, I'd help her, that kind of stuff. Then on April Fool's Day, I decided to take an adventure with someone that I had met from Facebook, and we had a great time. Went to Michigan. She was a gambler, and so I wanted her to win when we stopped to go gambling. I wanted her to win. I mean, I had no money. I'm comfortable with being minimal. You know, like there's a part of a Nako song for Medicine for the People that says, living on bliss with the last of my cash, and I keep thinking about that one, because the less I have, the happier I am, in a way. It's just really difficult to get along in society with having a zero amount and then having to rely on shelters and food places and things like that. So did that 4-day adventure, did a bunch of coke, did all that craziness. It was just a real April Fool's situation. But when we were in the casino and she was gambling and losing a lot, I said a little manifestation prayer, and as soon as I came out, she won real big, and so I was feeling great about not having her pay for the whole trip, kind of thing. So then, that was over. Someone I had met that we're still friends today, she came to town for an NA meeting, and she has been inspirational every time, bringing me to meetings and, staying sober, kind of things like that. I wanted to help her out, so I offered to help clean her place, and, things were quite sexual at first. It was the first time I went with somebody because she had brought me back to her town, and I was sober, and we ended up having sex right away. And I was kind of proud of myself for doing it sober, because a lot of the insecurities and fears, not wanting to be numb, it was a good situation. But then I also fell too hard for certain people. I tried to just stay universal and do the whatever they call polyamorous stuff or something like that. But in January, I'd been a very jealous person, very possessive with my ex-wife and other women I'd been with. And I learned that if you're jealous, that just means you don't think you're good enough for them. So that's helped me out through a lot of years. But there was a course in Minneapolis where about jealousy, at the Smitten Kitten kind of thing for polyamorous people, or people like that. And I learned a whole lot about that. I mean, jealousy is a natural thing, but how to overcome it, it helped a lot. And during that week in Minneapolis, I'd rode the Amtrak for the first time there, and stayed with someone, 4 different people that I had met only online, and the shelters 3 other times. During a peer support experiment kind of thing, where I only had $40 that I came with, and I didn't want to accept anything more than what I could use, and I didn't ask for anything. People kept giving me stuff, and so, I remember a woman, she kept trying to give me, her and her husband, they tried to give me like $40, and I was like, what? No, I don't need this. I only needed money for the bus. And so I understood that, well, if I have any extras, I'll just give it away or help other people somehow. It was an interesting experiment. And I just still had my backpack. It was like 40, 50 pounds, and then people would be like, wow, I was pretty healthy, getting pretty healthy. And I went and that's when I seen the Mae Simpson Band, and also Janis Joplin birthday memorial at 7th Street, some famous place downtown Minneapolis. So that was a really great experience. But back to meeting this other woman. It was great. I was doing a lot of support, helping people on Facebook, commenting on their things, posting healthy things. People were thanking me for these things, and my self-worth wasn't very well at the time either. I didn't feed off of that stuff. I just I don't want to be that guy. I never wanted to be that guy that everyone looks at, like, save me, and you're awesome, you're amazing, it's so sexy, blah, blah, blah. Those things they don't do it for me at all. I need to accept that in a way. So just cut it, this video as short as possible and just get through it. Somewhere in June, since I had left the shelter, I couldn't go back, so I stayed in a different shelter. And during that time, life was kind of stagnant. It was in June, and someone had called or messaged me that they wanted to fly me to Denver to go to a Naco show at the amphitheater there, the Red Rocks, and see Rising Appalachia as well. That was an amazing show. When I'm in these concerts and I vibe completely with the music and everything, my body just kind of lets go. I let go of my body, and during that time I just passed out. I just fell down, for a moment, and everybody picked me up and they're like, "Whoa, you all right? You all right?" I just had to laugh because I'm fine. It's just, I think they call it like a psychic empath kind of thing. Anyway, that was an interesting trip because I felt like I was being abducted again, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to see how it went, but we were traveling across country doing, medicine trips, and I had to get off in Fargo. I just had to stop. I didn't want to go back to Lake Superior or wherever we were planning on going. I got to see my first pot farm. That was interesting, somewhere in Oregon. But I wasn't going to do that kind of lifestyle. That wasn't in my cards. So I felt bad. But I got a lot of narcissistic rage they call it, and I just couldn't keep up with it. So I was losing my mind. And my other friend that I had met in February, she said she was going to treatment, so I was like, she joked and said, "Do you want to go? You want to go to treatment with me?" And I was like, "Yes." And my tarot had also been mentioning about it, so I just went to treatment, and I ended up crying for like 2 days, like a whole day, crying and shaking and just letting it go, all of it. And then I got into the treatment, and I was like, okay, I'm safe. I'm gonna be okay. Don't kill yourself. Don't worry about it. They'll be fine. I had my bridge pierced, but they made me take it out, even though everybody else in the treatment didn't have to take out their piercings. So I don't understand why that guy did that to me. I don't know. I'll get it re-pierced eventually. But then they put me on 300 milligrams of Seroquel, and it wasn't doing anything for me. It was kind of really messing me up a little bit. But I had to keep taking it, and I tried not to. I would try to spit it out and things too. But I spent 8 days there in Grand Forks, North Dakota. They had driven me there in an ambulance or something. And after I got out, it took me a good week to get over it. I quit smoking. I had done coke, drank, the Seroquel I stopped, got high, but during that whole time I stopped smoking. because I really wanted that to be a message to say, no, don't do this anymore. Get healthy, stay healthy. And then, when you're hanging around people that smoke, eventually you're probably going to end up smoking. Well, after it was Shangri-La last year, where I got to bring my peer support friend, who I was actually living with then at that time, because he accepted me into his home. It was a little bit of you can stay here and then you have to go. It was a little psychopathic in a sense. He's like, there would be some days where he's like, I need my space. And I'm like, well, okay, I'll go. Figuring out how to go. And then it was like, no, you can stay. So back and forth. Not cool to do that to people. And even though part of me said I should have just left a long time ago, because I was getting a little complacent playing video games, watching movies, instead of being in the flow state that I was in 24/7. And I'd like to go back into flow state. I'm just slowly moving my way into it so that it isn't a manic manifestation situation where I'm dealing with the bipolar and going to highs and lows. All my life I've been doing that. But anyway, then I started working at the beet harvest. I did the beet harvest seasonal work. That's the first time. I love doing things for the first time, to just say that, I did it. I did those things. And so there's a huge list of things that, I've done. But then I got over that. I ended up getting my own place on the 1st of November. So I was good. I didn't do my 4-day birthday bend, get stupid at all. Even though on my birthday I did drink, I had a good time at the bar, and it was daylight savings time, or one of those where at midnight I actually got an extra hour of celebration on my birthday. It was very unusual. I had a great time though. Some good people. We all hurting, we're all struggling in our own ways. Even the more spiritual, meditative people, just like walking past all kinds of people partying with their, the St. Patrick's Day stuff, and all that, and hey, I just smelled booze the whole time, and I'm thinking, man, you guys aren't happy. Is this what you really do to have a good time? And I think back and I'm like, well, you did it. Oh, no judgment. And that kind of goes with the whole Armageddon thing, and when the Bible and the church people say, the day of the last judgment. Well, think about it. Day of the last judgment, when we stop judging each other, when we come together. This whole coronavirus thing happening right now, it's just they're just trying to disconnect us. I've noticed it myself when I'm like at church or at the Celebrate Recovery the other day, when we get up, when we greet each other before we start, and some people were just doing fist bumps, some people were just doing elbows, like they really fell into this, I have to be safe, this germophobia kind of mentality. It's sad. But anyway, after that, it was great bringing them to Shangri-La. And Shangri-La, I did a whole buttload of mushrooms. Like, I just probably shouldn't have done as many as I did. We did them with a tincture with lemons, so it took away the making you want to puke kind of thing. And I just stayed with a lot of handicapable people in chairs, people with guy with one leg, other people. I stayed back. I didn't want to go dancing. I didn't want to get all hot and horny and stuff like that sometimes happens during festivals, I guess. And so it was a great time. Then getting in my apartment, the first month, I just slept on the floor. I didn't know what to do. I had no idea what to do with my own place, even though I'd been wanting my security for so long. It took me 3 months just to get used to having my own place, and I turned down a bed multiple times with my caseworker. But then she said, well, why don't you just get this, and if you don't want it, we can redonate it. And I'm like, okay. And I'm glad I did, because it's a nice bed and dresser. I got a little bit complacent for a while there in the winter. It's still, well, I guess still winter, almost spring. Today is the 14th of March, 2020. And I'm trying to finish all this up so that I can start working on sharing my ideas and doing crowdfunding for agreeable situations, and finding my self-worth back so that I can accept money into my life and being able to have it without getting rid of it because I don't agree with it. So it's going to be a little situation there. I'm still staying diligent with doing these videos every day till the end of the month at least, just to figure out what I'm even doing, because plans don't ever work out for me usually, but I do need to have that definiteness of purpose. And like before I started this video, I thought about how Charles Bukowski does this poetry reading, and he's like, I don't want you to like me. And that's a lot of the Hayoka situation with me is, but it's too easy. It's too easy to be hated and shit on, because I'm like, well, fine, I don't love myself anyway. Hate me, good. Hit me, do what you want. This is on you. I'll be your punching bag. And kind of dumb like that. So I'd rather be more of a light that understands I cannot help these people who hate themselves and who are severely narcissistic, psychopathic, sociopathic, whatever you want to call them. Anybody who studies any of that stuff can be that person. You can be whatever you want to be. They say, diagnose this, diagnose that. The whole medical field is based on name it, tame it, and something else, and like give you drugs for it and profit from it. So, hey, you have that disorder. This is what you have these symptoms, so that means you have this disorder. That means you have to take this. Not cool at all. I'd like to give out a shout out to the Tom McDonald, who's just put up a new video called I Don't Care last night. And I love it. I love his messages coming from the chaos and just low vibrations that he'd been, and try to help other people out of it as well. I also seen another video about talking about using heroin on social media, on a real popular YouTube page, and things like that, and removing the stigma of talking about these things so that we can heal each other and help each other. So I hope that helps, and I don't know really much more to say about it. I'm coming into my own. I still have a lot of animosity for humanity and what the hell we've done to it, but I cannot blame. I mean, there's no use in blame. There's no resolution. I mean, we've just got to delete these things. I call Planet Perfect Days a peaceful dismantling of outdated systems, outdated death-dealing systems. If it's life-affirming, awesome. If it's death-dealing, what purpose is the death? Some things have to. I mean, we all have to die. Every day, our cells are dying, rebirth, all that, every day, 24/7. So don't get caught in your safety nets, like Wookiefoot would say. Be brave enough, have the courage to be brave enough to heal. Brene Brown is really helping me out with a lot of that. Hopefully I'll be able to be comfortable having friends and being social again. It's been a little bit difficult. So I'm still clearing. Anyway, that's the end of phase 5. I'm done doing these whole life history things. Most people don't even care. I don't really care. I just had to get it out so that I don't have to remind people of anything or tell them this or that. I went into a coma. Oh, Jesus, man. So, peace, love, blessings, my love. Take care of yourselves and take care of others.